There is a cup of sake in Japan that, once you drink from it, you are never fully allowed to put down, not legally, not socially, not according to the men who will consider you family from the moment the cup touches your lips until the day you die, or the day they formally cut you loose, whichever comes first. In 2009, over 80,000 men in Japan had taken that drink. Today, that number is under 20,000 and falling every single year. This is your life at every rank in the Yakuza. Level 1. Nobody walks up to a Yakuza office and applies. You need a sponsor, an aniki, an older brother figure with just enough standing in the organization to introduce you to a boss and vouch for you personally. That vouching is not a small thing. If you embarrass him, the embarrassment is his as much as yours. Most of the men who end up needing an aniki are not the criminal masterminds the movies suggest. They are kids who ran out of other doors, a senior from your hometown who already made the jump, a part-time job that led nowhere, a family situation that gave you every reason to want somewhere else to belong. The aniki takes you to meet the boss. The meeting is not dramatic. It is closer to an interview, except the thing being evaluated is not your resume. It is whether you are the kind of person who can be trusted with absolute loyalty, and whether you understand, even in this first conversation, that the request is not metaphorical. Level 2. The ceremony is called Sakazuki, and it is the moment everything becomes real. You sit across from your new boss, your oyabun, which translates, without much room for softer interpretation, to foster parent. A moderator pours sake into a cup. The oyabun drinks first. Then, the cup is passed to you. You finish it. You wrap the empty cup in ceremonial paper. You keep it for the rest of your life as physical proof of a bond most outsiders radically underestimate the seriousness of. From this moment, you are kobun, a foster child. In the same literal sense, the word oyabun implies a foster parent. The relationship is reciprocal in ways people rarely credit. Your oyabun is now obligated to protect you, to support your family if you go to prison, to arrange legal help if you need it. In exchange, your loyalty to him is considered absolute, unconditional, and, in the culture surrounding this world, a genuinely sacred thing. The bond is meant to last until death or until formal expulsion severs it. There is, deliberately, no comfortable middle option. Level 3. Your life as the newest member of the family is built almost entirely around one thing, proving, repeatedly, that the sponsor who vouched for you was right to. You do headquarters duty, answering phones, greeting visitors, learning the specific etiquette of a hierarchy that has rules for things you never would have thought needed rules. The senior members have their own designated teacups. You learn, quickly and without anyone explaining it kindly twice, which cup belongs to whom. You attend obligatory events, you run errands nobody higher up wants to run themselves. The work that involves face, representing the organization in front of outsiders, is always harder than it sounds, because a mistake in front of the wrong person does not just embarrass you. It embarrasses your oyabun, and by extension, the aniki who staked his name on bringing you in. There is no fast track here. Rank moves slowly, and it moves entirely on the strength of your reputation inside a family that is watching you far more closely than you initially understood. Level 4. At some point, usually once your commitment has been proven over real time, you begin the Irezumi, the traditional full-body tattoo that has marked Yakuza identity for generations. It is not one session, it is years. The traditional hand-poked method, tabori, is slow and genuinely painful in a way modern tattoo machines are not, and the cost, in money, in time, in pain tolerated without complaint, is itself part of the point. A completed suit signals a level of commitment that cannot be faked or rushed. What almost nobody explains to you beforehand is the permanence of what this actually costs. Once the ink is in, reintegration into ordinary society becomes, for practical purposes, almost impossible. Public bathhouses ban visible tattoos, specifically because of this history. Employers who see it will not hire you. It is not a mark you wear. It is a mark that wears you for the rest of your life, whether you stay in this world or eventually try to leave it. You get it anyway. At this stage, leaving is not yet something you are thinking about. Level 5. You learn the word shinogi, an old term, roughly translating to something like up against the wall, used for every way this world makes money. Gambling, loan sharking, protection payments from bars and businesses inside your family's territory who pay specifically because calling the police has never felt like a real option to them. Front companies that launder the money through paperwork clean enough to survive a cursory glance. The core businesses are rarely run by Yakuza members directly. They are run by associates who pay protection fees for the privilege of operating without interference, a layer of separation that has always been part of the design. You learn to work within this economy the way anyone learns a trade, slowly, through repetition, through mistakes that cost you more than they would in an ordinary job. The money is real. The risk underneath it is real too, in a way you are only beginning to understand. Level 6. Eventually, you make a mistake serious enough that an apology alone will not settle it. The ritual for this has a name, yubitsume. You take a small blade. You cut off the tip of your own left little finger at the joint. You wrap it and you present it personally to the man you failed. The origin is old, rooted in the traditional grip of a Japanese sword, which relies most heavily on the bottom 3 fingers of the hand. Removing the tip of the little finger was, centuries ago, understood as a way of weakening a man's grip, and therefore his usefulness in a fight, a tangible, permanent demonstration that he understands the weight of what he did. It does not always end there. Some men do this more than once. Each joint removed is its own quiet, permanent record of every serious mistake in a career, visible to anyone who knows what they are looking at, for the rest of your life. You survive it. The finger does not grow back, neither, quite, does whatever part of your relationship to this world existed before you first understood the cost was real. Level 7. Time, loyalty, and results move you upward through a hierarchy built entirely on trust earned rather than credentials held. You might become Wakagashira, an operational second-in-command, translating your oyabun's decisions into the daily reality of the organization. Or Saiko-komon, a senior advisor whose role is less about giving orders and more about mediating the disputes that inevitably arise inside a family this large and this bound by pride. Even between men who consider each other brothers, kyodai, the hierarchy never fully dissolves. One always occupies the position of oyabun in the relationship, the other kobun, even when the difference in rank is small. The entire structure runs on this principle, layer after layer. The largest organizations in Japan have subordinate organizations 5 ranks deep, each one bound by its own Sakazuki, its own smaller version of the same bond that brought you in. You are, by this point, someone new members look up the way you once looked up at your aniki. You do not always know what to do with that. Level 8. Somewhere in the middle of your career, the ground underneath the entire organization begins, quietly and then not quietly at all, to shift. The exclusion ordinances arrive, prefecture by prefecture, starting in 2009, complete across all 47 prefectures by the end of 2011. They do something the earlier laws never fully managed. They make it illegal for ordinary citizens and businesses to do business with you at all. Not just illegal for you to extort them, illegal for anyone to knowingly pay you, rent to you, or work with you under any circumstance. You watch the numbers everyone in this world quietly tracks. 80,000 members in 2009, 70,000 by the end of 2011, under 20,000 within the following decade, the lowest official count since Japan started keeping records in 1958. Rival organizations lose members faster than yours does for a while. Then it is your turn. Younger recruits stop coming the way they used to. The aniki system that brought you in starts to run dry, because fewer young men see a future here worth the cost you already know intimately. Level 9. If you last long enough, if your loyalty and your judgment have both held up under decades of scrutiny, you become an oyabun yourself. The responsibility runs the other direction now. Your kobun's failures are, in a real sense, your failures to have trained him properly. If one of your men goes to prison, you are expected to support his family in his absence. If he needs legal help, you arrange it, the same way your own oyabun once arranged it for you. You preside over Sakazuki ceremonies of your own now, pouring the first cup for young men who remind you, more than you expected, of who you were the first time you drank from one. Some of them have the same hollowed-out look you remember having, the specific desperation of someone who ran out of other doors. You built a family in the technical legal sense the word no longer applies to. You built one in every other sense that still matters to the men standing in this room with you. Level 10. Eventually, for reasons that differ for every man who reaches this point, exhaustion, disillusionment, a shinogi that finally crossed a line even you were not willing to cross, you consider leaving. Here is what almost nobody explains clearly beforehand. Leaving does not mean returning to zero. It means starting at minus. You cannot open a bank account. The exclusion laws bar it outright. And even years after you leave, a certificate proving you have severed all ties is required for basic transactions that ordinary citizens never think twice about. You cannot rent an apartment without extraordinary difficulty. You cannot sign a phone contract. You cannot get certain kinds of insurance. Hotels, in many cases, will turn you away. The tattoo you spent years and real pain completing is now the single hardest thing to explain away. Surveys of Japanese businesses show the overwhelming majority will not hire a known former member, regardless of how long ago he left, regardless of what he has done since, to prove he has changed. Some men manage it anyway. Years of quiet, difficult work rebuilding a life the ordinary way, one hard-won relationship at a time. Most do not. The statistics on former members finding stable, ordinary employment are genuinely brutal, and everyone in this world who has ever considered walking away knows it before they decide. You drink from the cup once, at the very beginning. You spend the rest of your life discovering exactly how long that one drink was meant to last. Every Yakuza starts the same way, not with violence, with a sponsor, a cup of sake, and a family that will genuinely never let you forget you chose it. The organization has been shrinking for over a decade now, cut off prefecture by prefecture, generation by generation, by a country that decided, deliberately and all at once, to make this life as difficult as it possibly could. Somewhere in Japan tonight, a young man with no other doors left is sitting across from someone who might become his aniki. He does not know yet how long that cup is going to follow him. Subscribe. Tell me which level hit hardest.